G'day YouTubers, I will preview this week's round of the AFL games. Before I start, it will be muchly appreciated if you can subscribe, comment and like. Every subscriber will be very much appreciated. Alright, let's get the show started. Let's go! Yeah! I will preview last week's round 15 of my voice. Before I start, I'd just like to let you know, in my tips, I selected Port Adelaide to beat Brisbane. However, on the Friday, I heard that Travis Boak had withdrawn to illness and Charlie Dixon was suspended. Therefore, I changed my votes from Port Adelaide to Brisbane, and thank God I did. So let's start again. I tipped the Blues to beat the Cats. Yeah, happy of that. The second game, I selected the Lions to beat the Power. Yeah, thank God I chose the Lions. The Power got smashed by Brisbane by 70 points. I selected the Swans to beat the Giants over the Battle of the Bridge. Woohoo, got that correct. I selected the D's to beat North. Fortunate. The Demons won by 3 points. Yes. I selected the Bombers to beat the Eagles. Woohoo. And the last game, 3-0. Gave Gold Coast the hee-ho. So happy with that. Therefore, I selected all 6 games correct. You beauty. Therefore, my total in season 2024 is 82. Nice. My Brownlow votes after round 15 are: in top spot is in Dacos, Collingwood with 22 votes. In second spot is Heaney, Sydney with 21 votes. And tied in third with 20 votes are Z Merritt, Essendon, C's Wrong, Fremantle and A Chulor, Bulldogs. These are my top 3 for the 2024 Brownlow votes after round 15. I will review round 16 games for this week. The first game of the week, played on a Friday night at the Gabba, is between Brisbane and Melbourne Demons. The players in the mix for the Lions are Fry and Robinson. For the D's, Jefferson, McAdam and Fullerton are in consideration. The players injured for the Lions are Answorth, Ashcroft, Gardner, McCarthy, Common and Dode. Whereas the Demons will be missing Melksham, Lever, Spargo, Hunter and Petrarca. Last week, the Lions smashed Port Adelaide by 70 plus at Adelaide Oval, and Melbourne scraped over North Melbourne by 3 points. If we compare the ruck midfield setup for both sides, in ruck we've got McInerney against Gawn. McInerney had a career high last week with 3 goals. However, I expect Gawn to dominate against McInerney. Then we look at the midfield. McCluggage against Oliver. McCluggage is more outside. Oliver can extract the ball inside and also go hard on the outside. Neil inside midfield gun against Winey, both similar types, but Neil provides more outside. And then you got Premiership player Dunkley against Rivers, who's also a Premiership player. Dunkley has more experience and is more inside and gathers more possession. And then you got Jared Barry against Barrow. That's pretty even between the two sides. I expect the Lions midfield just to get over the edge. And if we look at the forwards, the Lions have so much scoring power. They've been scoring 100 points in the last couple of games. And you got Hipwood, Danaher and Cameron plus Rayner scoring. Whereas Melbourne, their forwards are struggling at the moment, with Petty and Van Rooyen scoring a goal or 2. Based on describing all this, I'm going to pick the Lions to win this game. The second game of the week is between North Melbourne and the Western Bulldogs. Last week, North Melbourne lost to Melbourne by 3 points and the Bullies had the bye. The players in the mix for the Kangaroos are Lorenzo, Stevenson, Dersma and Stevens. For the Doggies, their players in the mix are Baker and Porter. The players injured for the Kangaroos are Will Dawson, Goda and Coleman Jones. For the Doggies, they will be missing Caulfield, Norton, Johannesson and Smith. If we compare the ruck and midfield between both sides, you got Xeri against Tom English. You expect English to nullify Xeri. Then the midfield, David Giacchi against Bontempelli. David Giacchi is a good young player, but Bontempelli is top 5 player in the league. Kicks goals, gets inside ball, and can play and kick goals. So I'll give the choice to Bontempelli. Scott against Treloar. I expect Treloar to dominate out of two. Tucker against Harms. Harms does a good defensive role and can go hard inside. And Wardlaw against Williams. Williams is an experienced midfielder who has elite kicking. Wardlaw will be a good midfielder in the future, but has only played his second year. I expect the Doggies mids to dominate and give enough opportunities to your Waitman, Ugo Hagel, and Lob. Based on this, I'm going to tip the Doggies to win this game. The next game is between Sydney and Fremantle. Should I bother continuing the conversation with this game? Sydney's just the best team right now. They've only lost one game. Last week, the Swans beat the Giants in the derby, and Freo beat the Gold Coast Suns. The players in the mix for the Swans are Hamling, Laddams, and Aaron Francis. For the Dockers, their players in the mix are Taberner, Brody, and Erasmus. The players injured for the Swans are Mills, Reid, Shelderick, and Parker to suspension. For Freo, they're missing Odishaw, Walter Swahami, McDonald, and Corbett. If you compare the ruck midfield set for both sides, you got the experienced former All-Australian Grundy against Darcy. Grundy's heading back to his All-Australian form, given that he's been playing solo as the number 1 ruckman and he relishes as being the number 1 ruck. I give the chocolates to Grundy over Darcy. Jordan against Young. Young for Freo is a good outside elite kicker, and Jordan bullocks hard inside and can play a defensive role. I'll say that's even because Jordan's a good tagger. And then you got elite player in Rowbottom who can go inside and pass on the outside against Sarong who can run all day. Say Sarong wins that battle. Then we got Chad Warner against Brayshaw. Chad Warner, elite kicking with his disposal against Brayshaw, who can run all day and good elite endurance. I'll give the chocolates to Chad Warner. And world-class Gordon, one of the best kickers ever in the league, against Fife. Fife is good, but not back to his former Brownlow medalist form since he's been injured for the last couple of years. Say we give the chocolates to Gordon. I expect Sydney's midfield to totally dominate against Fremantle and provide enough scoring or opportunities for their forwards to score. They've got so much scoring power in Logan McDonald, Amadi, Tom Papali, Heaney, who I forgot, and Will Haywood. Based on this, I'm going to tip the Swans to win this game. The next game is between Gold Coast and Collingwood. Last week, Gold Coast lost at Fremantle and Collingwood had to buy, which will be very helpful as they can get players coming back from injury. The players in the mix for the Suns are Davies, Walter, Atkins, and Bullerick. For the Magpies, their players in the mix are Kinnis, Johnson, and Allen. The players injured for the Suns are Ben King and Weller. Collingwood will be missing Elliott, DeGoey, Myercheck, Mitchell, Cox, McStay, and possibly Pendlebury. So many good players out injured. If you compare the ruck midfield setup between both sides, for Gold Coast you got Witz in ruck against Cameron. You expect Witz to win the hitouts. And then the midfielders, Anderson against Nick Dacos. Nick Dacos is an elite kicker. Anderson is good on the outside, but I'll give the chops at Dacos. He's top 10 player or top 5 player in the league. You got the bullocking Rao against Stipinski. I expect Rao to win that battle. Then you got Took Miller against Cripps. I reckon that's going to be an even battle between the two. Then you got Sam Flanders against Josh Dacos. Flanders gets the ball a lot. Josh Dacos will punish him with his disposal. Based on that, I reckon Collingwood's midfields will dominate against Gold Coast. Not dominate, will get the little edge over. This one's pretty hard to tip because Gold Coast played okay against Freo, but still lost. And teams that usually have the bye lose, which Collingwood did. But for Collingwood's sake, I think they need to buy very badly to get players back from injury. And this one was hard to tip, but however I took a punt and I chose Collingwood, even though Gold Coast has a perfect record at home. The next game is between Geelong and Essendon, played in Geelong. Last week, Geelong lost to Carlton on a Friday night, and Essendon beat West Coast by 5 goals on the Sunday. The players in the mix for the Cats are Newett, Neil and Stanley. For the Bombers, their players in the mix are Setterfield, Shield and Goldstein. The players injured for the Cats are Wiltshire, Cam Guthrie, Tomahawk, that's going to be a big blow, and Dangerfield to suspension. For the Bombers, they will be missing Parrish, Elhowie and Baldwin. If we compare the ruck midfield setup for both sides, you got the Conning against Draper. I expect Draper to win the hitouts against the undersized DeConning, who's more of a key defender size, but is athletic and does play in ruck. And last week, DeConning lost to his brother from Carlton. Then the midfields, you got Holmes against Durham. Holmes has got elite running power and speed. Say we give the chocolates for Holmes against Durham. Then you got Henry against Dersma. Dersma has more experience in running with his outside kicking. I give the chocolates to Dersma. Then we got Mitch Duncan against Merritt. Duncan is a good player, but is becoming a veteran, and Merritt's still got that elite endurance running power. So I'll give the chocolates to Merritt. And young Clark against Caldwell. In this stage of their career, Clark's only been an assistant for 2 years, and Caldwell's been there for 6 or 7 years. So I'll give the advantage to Caldwell. And looking on paper, the Cats, or I should say the Bombers, will have advantage in the ruck midfield setup. Therefore, given that Essendon is doing well, Geelong's been in a slump, but they are playing at home in Geelong, so it's going to be a tough one to tip. And normally, Geelong don't lose 3 in a row at home, or many games at home, but I'm going to pick the away side to win this game. Therefore, I'm going to tip the Bombers to win this game. The next game is between Adelaide and GWS Giants. Last week, the Crows had to bye, and the Giants lost to the Swans in the derby. The players in the mix for the Crows are O'Brien, Pedler and Walker. For the Giants, their players in the mix are Keith, Cadman and Cumming. The players injured for the Crows are Crouch, Philthorpe, Worrell, Parnell and Millerer. For the Giants, they'll be missing Perryman, Bruce, Lee and Coniglio. If we compare the ruck midfield setup for both sides, you've got O'Brien against Briggs. O'Brien will win the hit-outs, but Briggs will do more damage around the ground, assisting with possessions. Then the midfield, you've got the elite kicking Dawson against the inside bullocking power Tom Green. And the last few games, Tom Green has absolutely destroyed the Crows midfield. So the Crows got to be cautious of that. And Dawson has played a run role on players. The Giants will be happy if this is even, because Dawson is the Crows' best midfielder and their best passer, who has the highest proportion of percentages of inside 50 for the Crows. Then you got Schoenberg against Kelly. I expect Kelly's running power to dominate against Schoenberg. And then you got inside mid Laird against another inside mid Ward. I'll give the chocolates to Ward, as he has more hurt factor between the two. And then got young Saligo against young Callaghan. These two players are going to be future gun players in the league. Say that's even. Looking at those two teams, ruck midfield setup, I expect the Giants to dominate. And historically, the Giants in the last few games have absolutely smashed the Crows in the midfield with Tom Green and Whitfield and Kelly absolutely dominating. And I expect to see the same thing for this Saturday night game. Therefore, I'm going to tip the Giants to win this game. The next game is between St Kilda and Port Adelaide. This is a hard one. Last week, St Kilda had to bye, and the Power got splashed by Brisbane by 70 plus points at home while they were celebrating their 20th anniversary of their 2004 flag. The players in the mix for the Saints are Philippou, Garcia, Brad Crouch and Jones. For the Power, their players in the mix are Bogue, Rioli and Williams. The players injured for the Saints are Hayes, Howard and Dow. The Power will be missing Jackson, Power Pepper and Dixon to suspension. If we compare the ruck midfield setup between both sides, you got Marshall against Sweet. I expect Marshall to dominate the hitouts plus possessions around the ground. Ross against Butters. Butters, All-Australian gun player. I expect him to dominate against Ross. Hugh against Rosie. Rosie hasn't been himself since his comeback from his hammy. So therefore, this is going to be even between the two players. Hill is got an elite endurance and elite running power plus kicking. Steele against Wines, both hard inside players who will find plenty of the ball on the inside. And they got the tagger Windhagen against Drew. He's more likely to tag someone, Windhagen. At this stage, I just have him on Drew, and Drew's a hard inside player, whereas Windhagen has been a great tagger this season. I expect the Saints to get the chocolates over the power midfield, given that I assume that, Windhagen will probably tag Butters, who's almost got suspended a couple of weeks ago when he got frustrated by the tagger, and I expect Windhagen to do the same thing. Therefore, this one was difficult to tip. The power struggling, lost the last 3 games, and the Saints lost to Brisbane Lions 2 weeks ago by 20 points at the Gabba. The game's played at Marvel Stadium in Victoria, so I'm going to tip the Saints to win this game. The next game is that Saturday afternoon game between Richmond and Carlton. Last week, Richmond had to bye. Carlton beat Geelong by 60 odd points on a Friday night. The players in the mix for the Tigers are Banks, Coulter and Bligh. The players in the mix for the Blues are Marchbank, Carroll and Pitnet. The players injured for the Tigers are Hopper, Pickett, Ross, Maurice Rioli, Gibcus and Lafou. The players injured for the Blues are Martin, Sarah, Cottrell, Doldy and Sawani. If we compare the ruck midfield setup for both sides, you got Nankervis against De Koning. Nankervis is a good hit-out tap ruckman. I expect him to win the hit-outs. However, I expect De Koning to dominate around the ground and gather lots of possessions and assist his midfielders. Nankervis will win the hit-outs, but De Koning will dominate around the ground. And then midfield, you got Taranto against Cripps. Taranto, just come back from injury, is an elite midfield. Cripps is on a different level, and I expect Cripps to win that position. Then you got Prestia against Kennedy. Prestia can run all day, whereas Kennedy is a more of an inside mid who can tag as well. Say Prestia just wins that position. Then you got Baker against Stewart. Baker is a good young player, but Stewart, the recruit from Sydney, is a good midfield, and I expect him to do well against Baker. Then you got young Ralph Smith against the elite Sam Walsh, who can just run all day and can go help back in defence. I expect Walsh to dominate against Ralph Smith. Based on the 2 ruck midfield setup, I expect the Blues midfielders get an edge and supply enough balls to their twin forwards of McKay and Kono to kick plenty goals, supported by Williams and Always, plus Fantasia. Therefore, I'm going to tip the Blues to win this game. The last game of the week is between West Coast and Hawthorn. West Coast lost to Essendon last week, and Hawks had to bye. But Hawthorn is one of the hottest teams. They won like 5 of their last 6 games, and they're the informed team. The players in the mix for the Eagles are Gaff, Hull, and Reid from suspension. For the Hawks, their players in the mix are the Wizard Watson, Wingard, Ward, and Ryan. The players injured for the Eagles are Bazo, Stewart, and Noah Long. The players injured for the Hawks are Blunt and Butler. If we compare the ruck midfield setup for both sides, you got Williams against Meek. Williams is good at hit-outs, but Meek provides more round the grounds and can gather possessions. And then the midfields, you got Gimby, who's a hard inside player against Newcombe. Also inside, but can also distribute the ball outside. I'll select Newcombe to win that position. Then you got the elite runner in Kelly, who's also good on the outside against Weddle. Weddle's a good young player as well. Give the chocolates to Kelly, say, given that the game's played at home in Optus Stadium. Then you got young Jay Williams against Warpel. Warpel is a inside mid who can distribute to his outside players. And then you got young Chesser against Mackenzie. Mackenzie's a good young midfield, and I expect Mackenzie to win that position out of 2. The Eagles do have a decent full line now, given that Allen's returned from injury last week and he can support Waterman. Hawthorn will have a lot of pressure because they'll be favourites to win this game, and can the young Hawks win this? For this game, I'll tip the Hawks, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles win this game, given that Harley Reid is back and magic happens when Reid is back. My tip for this round is Brisbane against the D's, the Doggies against the Kangaroos, the Swannies against the Dockers, the Maggies against the Suns, the Bombers against the Cats, the Giants against the Crows, the Saints against the Power, the Blues against the Tigers, and the Hawks against the Eagles. If you like my show, please subscribe and like. Every subscribe will be much appreciated. I hope you enjoyed my show and hope to see you again next time. Peace. Thank you.